Hi, it's Lisa. So we've got more questions from Google. Today's questions are going to be the top 5 most Googled questions about self-sabotage. So first of all, the number 1 question was, how do I overcome my fear of asking questions? Ironic, right? Anyway, first of all, you want to notice the fear. And sometimes you won't notice it in the moment. You'll just stay quiet and realize that there were things that you wanted to ask but didn't. So notice it as soon as you can. If it's in the moment, then you can ask yourself, what are the risks? But you can also ask this after the fact, so kind of as a debrief. Ask, what are the risks of asking the question? And then also ask yourself what the cost is of not asking the question. Disengagement from the discussion, for example, or just not furthering your own knowledge. And then take small steps to test out the risk and see what happens. So in a semi-safe environment, speak up and ask a question even when you feel a little unsure or fearful of asking the question. And push yourself to do that bit by bit a little more each time, and you'll get more comfortable with it. Okay, second question. How do I become more confident and stop second guessing everything I do? Well, okay, this one is tough if it's really second guessing everything. There's probably something deeper going on. But what you want to do is really notice what's driving that second guessing. For example, are there specific people or specific situations that have you second guessing yourself more? Remember, confidence is built through action. So start taking small steps even when you're having doubts, and that will help you build the trust in yourself when you're having those doubts. If you're someone who needs to check in with others a lot in that second guessing, find opportunities to turn toward your gut instead. What's your gut telling you? What would you do if there was no one to ask? What would you do if no one was going to witness the results? Can also be a great way to tap into your gut. And then find those small opportunities to proceed without asking others or without holding yourself back. All right, third question. How can I let go of my perfectionism? Oh my goodness, yeah. So one way is to make sure before you start to define good enough. Sometimes refining and perfecting is adding value, and sometimes it's just a waste. So really learning to know the difference, despite what that urge to be perfect about it tells you. And ask questions if you're not clear. Next, how can I stop imposter syndrome from ruling my life and my career? Yeah, remember that imposter syndrome thrives in isolation. So find other women you trust and hear about their feelings of not being good enough. That can really help when you know you're not the only one thinking this way. Most of us experience some form of imposter syndrome at one point or another. The other thing is challenge the gender-biased messages that make us feel like we don't belong or that we must not be good enough. They're really bullshit. It's important to see them and to challenge them. And then get support to challenge those thought patterns if they really are ruling you, making those decisions for you. A coach or a therapist, depending on what's going on, can be a huge help. And the final question, I'm having trouble stepping outside of my comfort zone at work because of my fear of failure. How do I overcome this? Yeah, so we often try to tell ourselves that we shouldn't feel this way, so we push away fear. Trouble is that when we fight those kinds of feelings, they actually can get stronger and sneakier. So when you feel that fear, it's better to turn toward it and interrogate it a little. So what's the fear trying to protect you from? Like, what's the worst case scenario? Once you've identified sort of what's in that fear, then you can ask, how likely is that catastrophe to actually happen? And then also, and this seems a little counterintuitive, I think, but if you do fail what might that really look like? So it's probably not the catastrophe that you're imagining, but the other piece is, if I do fail, if I do poorly on this, what's the likely outcome? What's the reality here? That can make a huge difference in being able to recognize that some risks you can live with. It's also important to remember that there really is a cost to withdrawing or avoiding taking risks in your work. And so really being aware of what is the cost for you in not stepping outside of your comfort zone. Now, some of these different self-sabotaging issues that we've talked about can be really hard to unravel yourself. So remember, this is my specialty. If you are curious about coaching, reach out for a free intro session, and I would be really happy to talk with you. As always, if there's anything I can do to help you in any way, please reach out and let me know, and leave a comment and let me know how these self-sabotaging things get in your way. Thanks so much.